If you have 500,000 and you're willing to take risks, that is after putting aside your emergency fund, come closer. In today's episode, we are going to analyze only high risk investments. So if you had 500,000 over and above your emergency fund and you're thinking now you're ready to embrace some level of risk, make sure you watch this video to the end, and by the end of the video you'll be able to decide actually whether you're ready to take the risks or you prefer to continue with the traditional way of investing in safe investments. So, disclaimer, this video is not telling you to invest in high risk investment. It is just giving you a guide of what potential investments are out there with information as to the risk they come with. And of course, with higher risk comes higher returns. Okay? And when you're watching this video, think of long-term investment, not short-term. And think of how you can embrace and balance the risk, not necessarily avoid it. By the end of the video, you'll be able to decide whether you're ready to put your money in some of the investments we are going to talk about. We're going to look at 5 different investments that you can consider. Hello, good people. Hope you're doing well. Jessie is my name, and this is the Money and Growth Circle, where we are working towards financial peace and ultimately financial freedom. If this is your kind of content, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that when we upload, you get an alert. Let's get to the video. We're going to compare these 5 high-risk investments. Number 1, the stock market. Special funds, rates despite having medium to low risk, global ETFs, and private and alternative investments. We are going to assess them using returns, risk, liquidity, diversification, accessibility, and complexity. So we start with the first contender, which is the stock market. If you're willing to take high risks and you have not invested in the stock market, you're missing out. This is one of your biggest gold mine, as much as it has high risk, because on good days it can grow, on bad days it can depreciate. But the most important thing is having a portfolio that balances during both times. You don't want to always find yourself on the red. You want to balance between the red and the green. When you invest in the stock market, you earn dividends and capital appreciation. That is capital gains. That is why when you're looking out for where to invest in the stock market, a few things comes to play. Number 1, you need to first set your goal. Do you want capital appreciation, or do you want dividends, or do you want both? That way, you will buy stocks that will help you balance between whether you want both or you want one. In most cases, I would recommend you take both for balancing so that at some point you get some dividends, at some point you see your investment growing. And in any case, if you want to dispose it, at least you will have gained something. The one thing you should never do when you're investing in the stock market is put all your money in one stock, whether it is performing very well right now, or it has been performing well, or you think it will perform well. The key to succeeding in the stock market is diversification. Make sure you have spread your risk among different stocks. So if you want to succeed in the stock market, diversify and understand the companies you're investing in and seek professional guidance. That is where the stock brokers are there to support you. Don't wake up in the morning and think that Your friend said they bought this. Sometimes they may not even be telling the truth. So do your own investigation, understand the company that you're investing in before you put your money in the stock market. So I would rate the stock market as follows. Return potential is 27 out of 30. Risk is 13 out of 20 if you have a balanced portfolio. Liquidity is 14 out of 15. You can buy and sell your stocks anytime as long as it's a business day. Income potential, if you buy companies which pay dividends, your income potential is high, like 8 out of 10. Diversification, if you have a proper portfolio, then you're at 7 out of 10. Accessibility is 9 out of 10. You just need a CDS account or a ZD Trader account and you're ready to transact. Complexity, you need the support of the stock brokers to be able to make informed decisions. So the stock market is a strong contender, and it is top when it comes to you thinking of investing in the risky investments. Special funds is the second consideration. It has become increasingly popular because of the high returns they're giving. You find the lowest is giving about over 18%. Others are almost clocking 30%. In one case, Kuza Asset Management exceeded and it was at 45%. So they have come with a bang. And the interesting thing about special funds is that some people are skeptical, some people are very welcoming. I think maybe we have been hit by scams, and people have also felt it is normal to get like 7 to 10% return. So when they see more than 15%, it sounds a bit unrealistic. The truth is, if you understand the special fund you're investing in, you will be able to put your money from a point of information and also knowing that they come at a risk despite the high returns. In case you would like to open a special fund account, we have partnered with Etika Capital and Kuza Asset Management, so you can use the links down below to join. So look out for the new partners we'll be partnering with in the coming days. So the special fund gives you an upper hand because you give your money to a fund manager who invests in different investments, doing the diversification for you. From the stock market, you're using the stockbroker to guide you to make the decision. When it comes to the special fund, the fund manager makes the decision for you as to where to invest your money. Some of the reasons why they're making a kill, because their diversification is intense. You can find if you put your 250,000, your 100,000 in a special fund, they are splitting it into small amounts, spreading it across different. Of course, they're not doing this literally. It's only that they're doing it from their portfolio. So I'm just illustrating for ease of understanding. So you find from your 250,000 or your 500,000, your 1,000,000, they are taking small portion and spreading the risk, which means if maybe this particular investment is doing poorly this time, another one is doing better. So at the end of the day, you have some level of balancing. When it comes to special funds, you need to understand a few things. Which fund are you considering by understanding the funds that are available in the market and where they invest their money? What are the fees charged? Are there any hidden fees and all those things? How liquid is it? How much is the minimum investment? And remember, when you're investing in these high-risk investments, your emergency fund does not form part of what you're thinking or considering investing in any of them. Then you also need to understand what are the risks involved in this special fund. Like I said, if you do your research well, you will know where each and every special fund provider invests and the risks involved in each of them. In case you missed previous episodes, we have shared for some of them. So for special funds, return potential is 28 out of 30. Risk is 12 out of 20. Liquidity is 9 out of 15. Remember, they have a lock-in period of 6 months. Income potential is 7 out of 10. Diversification is 9 out of 10. Accessibility is 8 out of 10. Complexity is 3 out of 5. We get to the rates. Like I said, rates are considered somehow medium to high risk, not high risk per se. But for purposes of this video, I want to also evaluate it and also see the aspect that makes it a high risk to some extent. A rate gives you exposure to property which you may not afford as a whole. Rate can also face market risks, interest rate risks, occupancy risk, occupational risk, and market price risks. That is why they are in this list. For the potential, return potential is 22 out of 30, risk 14 out of 20, liquidity 12 out of 15, income potential 9 out of 10, diversification 8 out of 10, accessibility 8 out of 10, complexity 4 out of 5. Global ETFs and stocks, they include the gold ETF. This involves investing your money in stocks in other countries or stocks listed in the global market, be it in the technology, healthcare, consumer companies, financial companies, emerging markets, developed markets, and the broad global market. The biggest advantage is diversification across countries and economies. But there are risks that you'll be taking, that is market risk, international regulatory risks, exchange rates, and potential platform and tax risks, depending on how you're investing. And if you're buying individual stocks, the normal risk that you encounter as if you're investing in your local stock market. The return potential for this investment, global ETFs and stocks, is 28 out of 30. The risk is 13 out of 20. Liquidity is 14 out of 15. Income potential is 7 out of 10. Diversification is 10 out of 10. This actually takes the lead in diversification. Accessibility is 6 out of 10. Complexity is 3 out of 5. So the last one is private and alternate investments. Say like if I have a company and I decide to sell shares privately, not listed in the stock market, but privately, like what you hear people say that if you come and put your money in this company, we give you returns. If you come and put your money in this company, we give you monthly income, okay? They have very attractive returns, and sometimes the returns may sound unrealistic, but they give you good returns. The alternative investments can mean different things: private credit, private equity, venture capital, private businesses, specialized funds, real assets, and other non-traditional strategies. So when it comes to return potential, it will give you 30 out of 30. Risk is 7 out of 20. Liquidity is 4 out of 15. Income potential 8 out of 10. Diversification 8 out of 10. Accessibility 4 out of 10. Complexity 2 out of 5. After scoring all the 5, here is the final verdict. The stock market 82%. The global ETFs and stocks 81%. Rates 77%. Special funds 76%. Private and alternative investment 63%, which means the stock market takes the lead. So if you had 500,000 or 500,000, where would you put your money? Let's engage in the comments section. And if you also want us to expand on the different investments, leave a comment in the comments section. And don't forget to check out the videos that we have shared on the different products that I have talked about. Maybe you may understand them better before you even consider investing. All right. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new, kindly consider subscribing. If you're returning, thank you so much for always coming back to watch our videos. See you on the next one. Bye.